It's time for the 420 Radio News, covering the latest headlines in consumer cannabis, medical marijuana, and industrial hemp. Transcripts of 420 Radio News are available daily on our website at 420radio.org. Now, here's Priscilla Seiben.
Priscilla Seiben has the day off today. I'm Russ Belville with the news. Seattle's first legal pot shop is closed. Temporarily. Cannabis City had to close on Friday after running out of stock in just 3 days since Washington became the second U.S. state to allow pot sales to adults. We reported live when Cannabis City opened in Seattle on Tuesday with at least 10 pounds of marijuana for sale, and by close of business Thursday, it was all gone. A message on the store's phone line said it would reopen on July 21st. There were widespread concerns that shortages of pot would afflict retailers this week after the state issued its first 25 licenses to outlets under a heavily regulated and taxed system approved by voters in November 2012. Despite the few outlets, purchase limits, and exorbitant prices, analysts estimate the state pulled in almost $150,000 in tax revenue. Well, this was something that had been predicted for quite a long time, as we saw so few of the growers getting licensed in time. And I mentioned it, last week as well. When we're talking about the statewide opening of the first legal marijuana shops, we shouldn't be talking about inventories in the tens of pounds. We should be talking about inventories in the thousands of pounds. This is one area where Colorado was able to do a much better job rolling out legalization, as they were easily able to graft their recreational system onto their medical system. Medical growers were given the first licenses as well, something that has only recently changed in Colorado. Now anybody can apply for a recreational license, but the first stores were all tied to medical marijuana dispensary owners. You had to be a medical dispensary to get that recreational license. Those first few owners were then allowed to take some of their inventory from their medical crop and in a one-time transfer it to the recreational side. Now, though, growers are growing just for the recreational side, and we're seeing the average price of weed in Colorado at about $220 an ounce. We'll talk more about the pricing of marijuana in the Radical Rant at the end of the show today, but I encourage everyone in Washington to just sit tight and be patient. More growers will come online soon, and before we know it, we will once again see the lowest prices for marijuana right here in the Pacific Northwest. Missouri Governor Jay Nixon has finally signed the CBD-Only legislation passed by the Missouri legislature last month. The Show Me State is now the 11th state this year to approve the use of cannabidiol, a non-psychoactive constituent of cannabis, to treat intractable epilepsy. However, unlike CBD-only laws in Utah and other states, Missouri will be licensing private production facilities and dispensaries to produce and distribute the CBD oil, which must contain at least 5% CBD and no more than 0.3% THC, a ratio of 16 2/3 to 1. Only patients with intractable epilepsy, defined as epilepsy unresponsive to 3 or more treatment options, will qualify to use the CBD oil under state law. Well, at least in Missouri, they got around to figuring out how these people are supposed to get it. In Utah, people have to go out of state, go to Colorado, break Colorado law, break interstate trafficking law, bring it back to Utah, and then they're okay. Then they're protected. And I always feel like if these parents wanted to be criminals to help their epileptic kids, they'd do that now. Right? They don't need any special laws right now if they just want to be criminals. At least in Missouri, these people will not have to go out of state, not have to break another state's law or a federal law to get their CBD oil. And unlike North Carolina, which recently passed a CBD-only law that has a ratio mandated of 34 to 1, this law here in Missouri at least has a 16 2/3 to 1 ratio. I've been hearing from the breeders of these CBD plants that are talking about, feeling pretty good about themselves when they can get a 20 to 1 ratio. So aiming for 34 to 1 like they're doing in North Carolina seems a little high to me. 16 2/3 will probably work out a little better as far as getting the oil made and out to the people. However, as is the case with all these CBD-only laws, we have to emphasize that CBD is only one constituent of cannabis, and this law leaves behind so many people that could be helped through the medical use of cannabis. And even for those with epilepsy, I always have to shake my head when they say that it has to be intractable epilepsy, that they have to try 3 or more other treatment options before they're allowed to try the non-toxic one, the one that has been shown to have very good results. Why is it that someone has to go through pharmaceuticals with toxic side effects and need to take more pills to deal with the side effects, or even possibly surgery on their brain before we allow them to have CBD? It shouldn't be the medicine of last resort. It should be the medicine of first resort. A Canadian marijuana breeder company has launched what it calls the world's first marijuana commercial. Vancouver-based Crop King Seeds sales are limited to Canada, so don't expect to see the ad airing in the States. The ad takes a bit of a jab at one of its competitors as well. Let's take a look.
What can I help you with, bro?
Oh, hello. I'm looking for some purple kush and hash brownies.
Excuse me?
You know, the plant that grows out of the ground.
We only stock the liquid alternative. You know, the kind that leads to violence, social problems, the occasional gruesome death.
It's 2014, man. And you're telling me I have no other choice but to consume these dangerous products?
Dangerous as they may be, they are legal. I tell you what, you looked like a peach cider man when you came in first, but there are some beers over there. They're closer.
Why don't we try one of these old suddaroonies, eh?
Put it down. Put it down, put it down, put it...
Oh.
Okay, get out. You gotta get out. Come on.
Sick bastard.
Ooh.
You support these liquor companies
Out.
without any care for your fellow man.
All right, get the fuck out. You gotta go.
What's this? Marijuana seeds? And so many different strains. I think I'm gonna take one of everything.
Crop King Seeds. World-class cannabis seeds. Available online or in stores.
Well, it's going to be interesting. I wonder how they're going to get the fuck out of here past the Canadian censors. But nice commercial, fellas. In Nevada, the Marijuana Policy Project has launched a new ad campaign. Rather than take out TV or radio ads, the Coalition to Regulate Marijuana Like Alcohol is posting ads on the restroom walls of more than 24 Las Vegas bars and restaurants. The ads use bathroom-inspired themes to get across the group's twofold message. Police are wasting time by going after pot users, and marijuana legalization would create revenue for Nevada's public schools. One ad features a nearly empty roll of toilet paper made of cash, and the text, "Limited resources should be reserved for serious matters." Another features a toilet filled with cash, and the text, "Why flush money down the toilet?" Coalition spokesman Joe Bresney said in a statement, quote, "It's time to regulate marijuana and start treating it like alcohol. These ads will reach folks at a time when we know they have a few minutes to put some thought into it." Organizers must gather about 102,000 signatures statewide to send the matter to the 2015 legislature. If lawmakers reject it or take no action, it would go to the voters in 2016. Nevada voters rejected efforts to legalize small amounts of marijuana in 2002 and 2006. A bill with the same goal died in the 2013 legislature. The latest measure would allow adults 21 and older to possess up to 1 ounce of marijuana. It would also set up a regulatory structure for cultivation and dispensaries, similar to what's being implemented for medical marijuana in the state. I like this ad campaign. I don't have the pictures up for you right at the moment, but you can find them online. And these are some creative ad campaign ideas that activists all across the country could take on. A whole lot less expensive to buy the so-called bathroom ads or bus ads, places where people are kind of a captive audience, than it is to buy television, radio, or newspaper ads. So good on the Coalition to Regulate Marijuana Like Alcohol, and thanks MPP for supporting their efforts. Patients stock up as San Jose pot clubs shut down, from KTVU.com. 5 days are left until San Jose's medical marijuana regulations go into effect. Nearly 80 pot clubs are expected to shut down. Some of the clubs are now seeing a boost in sales, with patients stocking up on products while they can. This month, one dispensary has seen about a 35% increase in sales. The collective is selling out of products that aren't grown in-house since technically under the new restrictions, they will be banned on Friday. Across town at the All-American Cannabis Club, founder Dave Hodges is seeing more and more senior citizens and young people stocking up. Hodges said normally we would limit to an ounce a day for people to get, but at this point, anybody who wants to get anything, we are helping them out. San Jose Mayor Chuck Reed argues pot clubs have been operating illegally in the city for years and now must comply with federal and state law. Collectives are gathering more than 60,000 signatures to fight the new rules, but many of those signatures aren't valid yet. Patients say if their supply runs out, they will have to commute to Santa Cruz or San Francisco to gather their medicine. Yeah, this San Jose ordinance, this was something that was passed by the council. If I'm remembering the story right, passed by the council, limiting the zoning of dispensaries to like 1% of the city, just one way up north part of the city that you can get them and way down south part that you can get them, these little tiny blocks where they will be available. Most of the dispensaries aren't in those areas and are going to have to close down. If I recall properly, this was passed by the council, and then there was a referendum that the dispensary owners put on the ballot to overturn it, and it lost. It turned out that the people supported it, like 52% supported the dispensary locations that the San Jose City Council came up with. So it's one of those cases where it's kind of tough to go against something when the people aren't necessarily on your side. Those 5x5 home gardens from Prop 19 and their pot stores probably seem a whole lot more palatable to some of those people, I bet. And finally, in sports, Auburn quarterback Nick Marshall is out for the SEC Media Days after a pot citation. The quarterback cost him a trip to the Media Days. The Tigers announced also that tight end CJ Uzomah would take Marshall's place during the team's Media Days appearance. Coach Gus Malzahn is expected to address Marshall's situation. In a statement Friday, Malzahn said he was aware of the incident and was, quote, very disappointed. Police on Friday reportedly found less than an ounce of marijuana in Marshall's car in Reynolds, Georgia. Marshall was pulled over for a possible window tinting violation, according to reports. He is among the league's top returning quarterbacks and a Heisman Trophy candidate. Well, as Herb Thrasher put it, there's going to be some talk about marijuana and college athletes in Alabama. This isn't some safety or defensive back. This is a Heisman Trophy candidate quarterback we're talking about, an all-star here. Pretty soon, college sports is just going to have to forget about the marijuana thing, especially in the Pac-12. We'll be right back after this.
420 Radio, your ticket to the High Times Cannabis Cups. The International Cannabis Business Conference takes place September 13th and 14th at the Portland Ballroom in the Oregon Convention Center in Portland, Oregon. Featured speakers include Oregon Senator Floyd Przansky, U.S. Congressman Earl Blumenauer, Daily Dish blogger Andrew Sullivan, author Doug Fine, and Harborside CEO Steve D'Angelo. To learn more, visit our website at International
Congressman Andy Harris thinks it's okay for medical marijuana patients to go to federal prison, even though Maryland passed a medical marijuana bill in April. On May 30th, Congressman Harris voted against an amendment to respect Maryland laws and protect Maryland patients. Why would Congressman Harris vote to send patients like this to prison? 72% of Maryland residents support medical marijuana. Is Congressman Harris out of touch with Maryland?